So, with this book, I attempted to do what I've seen a lot of fellow YouTubers do. That is, or more specifically, what I've seen Crimson Road do. I enjoy his channel very much. If you haven't seen him, I suggest checking him out. But what I mean by that is, I decided that while I was reading this next book, I was going to put tabs to mark my progress as I go through. I either chose the best book to start with or the worst. So with this book, the review is going to be structured a little differently this time. My normal style review often requires me to, break this book down, talk about the characters, the plot, go into what I liked about the book, what I didn't like, and then just giving you all general nitpicks and gushes I had about the book. Stuff that might not change your opinion, but I personally liked or disliked about the book. Before wrapping it up with a final verdict, determining if it deserves Mount Doom, recommending it to you based on certain preferences, or if I just think you should read it. Unfortunately, that's not going to work for this book. I have almost nothing nice to say about this book. I have one nice thing to say about this book, and it's not that big of a compliment. Trust me. This book fails on almost every level I can think. So my normal style isn't just gonna cut it. I have no compliments or gushes. This is plain and simple a review of an awful book. But I'm not gonna put it up in one giant block of a review. In truth, that might mean the review will come out somewhere but close to 2 hours, if not 3. We'll see how long the review is total when I'm done. Instead, I'm going to segment this into separate videos, starting with this one, which will be the introductory one, where I give you the information about the book, talk about some of the things that I had issues with, tell you just general introductory things. And then I'll review sections of chapters, labeling each one as I go. Because this kind of does what Primordia does too, is that it will have really short 2, 3, or 4 page chapters, and then suddenly hit you with a 20-page chapter. And it has the same issue then too, but that's the most minor nitpick I can make about this book, believe it or not. So anyways, I also figured this might help with viewing a little. I noticed that a lot of my videos drop off around the 14 to 15 minute mark, sometimes a little higher, sometimes a little shorter. And I'm hoping this might help a little bit. Now before we begin, I'm going to have to warn you. This book is a political book, written with the idea of being what I call a conservative comfort book. Which, a conservative comfort book is basically a book written in mind for a specific political party with the intention of just reinforcing their belief through a fictional story. This book doesn't seek to challenge you, it doesn't seek to give you anything to read other than to read this and be like, yes, I think this validates my thoughts. And that's pretty much what a conservative comfort book is. It's just written for people to approach and say, I do this. But I'm still reviewing it, even though I'm not part of this political party he's going after, because this is supposed to be a story first and foremost. If you want to write a political propaganda book, just write what every other person is writing to take advantage of the political side. And write a political propaganda book. Don't pretend you're trying to tell a story with it. Now, while the political ideology in this book is libertarian, conservative as a word in and of itself means averse to change or innovation, holding traditional values. So as far as I'm concerned, this is still a conservative comfort book, even if it isn't quite conservative in the political sense. To emphasize my point, you can see the amount of, you see these yellow tabs? You see the large amount of them I have? Initially, this was meant for clunky or unnatural sections of the text. The kind of stuff that was hard to read or was seemingly misplaced throughout the paragraph, or were like long diversions of a character while he's monologuing inside his head. But it became quick shorthand for political ranting, and not just the characters doing it. In fact, most of the time I marked this, it was because the narrator started politically ranting at me. The narrator, this is not a first-person book. This book is told in the third person, meaning the narrator is meant to be this objective view. So yeah. Now, while I'm going to do my best to review this book without getting too heavily into the politics, with the way the book is written, that's going to be next to impossible. And I think even critiquing some of the actions of the characters is going to be seen as a critique on the political ideology in general. So if you don't wish to listen to me rip into this kind of ideology throughout the review, this is your last warning. Click off and don't watch the next videos that come out. Okay? Got it. With that being said, please take a moment to look over these trigger warnings, because there are a few, and this is part of the reason the book got chosen to be reviewed in the first place. So, now I'm going to put these trigger warnings at the start of each of the episodes of this review that contain that trigger warning in question, and give you a time code to avoid it if you still would like to watch the rest of the review. The slight gore will probably end up the most common of them, but as you can see, this book does not. This book tries to be edgy, I guess is a good way of putting it. With that out of the way, let's move on to talking a bit about the book. This book was written by Stephen C. Bird. Now, apparently Stephen Bird, is quite an author and has published about 25 books as of this review, with this particular series being his most popular. If that's true, then I fear ever coming across one of his other books outside of this series. This book was published in March 23rd of 2014, and the story follows a group of crazed doomsday preppers who also happen to be pilots by the name of Jason Jones and Evan Baird. Evan Baird. And their attempts to get home after the nation collapses suddenly, and people are literally going Mad Max within the first 12 hours. No, that's not a joke. So, with the introduction out of the way, let's move on to the review a bit. I'm going to read you the synopsis here, so you have a fair idea of what you're getting into, if my previous warning wasn't enough. The Last Layover is the first book in the new Homefront series, where an out-of-control government puts America on the brink of financial and societal collapse. In this weakened state, the unthinkable happens. Why would it be unthinkable if it's already been brought to near collapse? That would be the most logical course of action. Bringing America infrastructure to its knees. An airline crew is on an overnight layover in New York City when the events occur, stranding them far from home. Join them as they struggle to make their way home to their friends and family, while fighting the evil and tyranny that quickly ensues. So, yeah, this will be the end of the introductory area. But before I end this section, I just want to say, if you like this video and this little mini review series, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to help the channel grow. I've been normally leaving this message at the very end of my review, but I see other YouTubers putting it in the middle, and I want to see if that might help with the like, commenting, and subscribing. But yeah, unfortunately, I will see you next time.